Atiku Abubakar just went on Arise TV and he said something that APC people are not happy about. According to him, it is his time to retire Tinubu permanently.
All what I know is that a coalition candidate facing Bola Tinubu is dead on arrival.
But then he was asked the one question everyone has been waiting for: will you step down and give Peter Obi the presidential ticket? And his answer was not what people expected. Now, before I show you the clip, I need to give you some important context first so you understand everything you're about to hear. Atiku has now run for president of Nigeria more times than almost any other politician in history. Every time he gets close, something stops him. But this time he's saying 2027 is different. He's basically saying the opposition is more united and the anger against Tinubu is real, and the combination they are building can actually win. But here's the tension nobody is talking about openly. Peter Obi is more popular than Atiku right now. Polls show it, social media shows it, the streets show it. So why is Atiku still insisting on leading the ticket instead of stepping aside for Obi? That was the question Arise TV anchor Charles asked him directly tonight. But first, I want to ask you something. Which combination do you think is powerful enough to unseat APC in 2027? Is it Atiku and Obi, Obi and Kwankwaso, or Amaechi and Atiku? Drop your answer in the comments right now before you even finish watching. I genuinely want to know what you think. Now, take a listen.
Now, you've been a central figure in Nigerian politics for decades, and by the time the election comes around in 2027, you'll be 80. Respectfully, I mean, this may be your last realistic shot at the presidency. Does that make the stakes higher for you this time?
Certainly, yes. Because the stakes are higher, because I believe that will be my last outing. And
so that's incontrovertibly
that's incontrovertible.
fact.
That
Okay.
is.
Right. So beyond the fact that you have said conclusively that that'll be your last outing, why should Nigerians take that gamble on you now? Why should they believe that you represent the future and not the past?
I represent both the past and the future. Simply because we have seen various levels of leadership in the country, both young and old, and we're experiencing them. And I still believe that our expectations of the young leadership is below what we thought. And we believe, I personally believe, they require experience and they require tutelage from the older generation.
Yeah, but you don't have to be in power to give them that tutelage.
Sometimes you need to be.
I mean, you could be doing it now.
Yeah, sometimes you need to be, because what I was able to learn from President Obasanjo through his experience, I couldn't have learned it outside.
Right. But critics say you represent the same political establishment Nigerians are increasingly frustrated with. I mean, why should they trust you to deliver something different?
But look at it. Look at, the political experience. It's been a mixed one. We have had so many young governors in a number of states who have failed woefully, when it comes to governance, Charles. And I believe those type of people still require tutelage, still require to learn from experience. Believe me, I don't think I could have learned, if I were a president, what I have learned, being vice president to president, because he came with tremendous experience from a military head of state and now to a civilian president. There was a lot I learned.
But I wonder if the real challenge for you, Mr. Vice President, is not just defeating the incumbent, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but convincing Nigerians that you are not more of the same. I mean, I know I'm banging on a bit about that, but why should they take the risk of choosing you now after so many previous attempts?
Well, there is a clear and stark difference. Take the cases of the state governors in a number of states being headed by relatively young people and failing woefully, simply because at the apex, they did not have a capable and experienced president to guide them and to, of course, give them the benefit of his experience. And that's why we have been having a number of, very, very woeful leadership at a number of states, because they are being headed by inexperienced young men. Young men also require experience.
But you are now aligned with the African Democratic Congress, or ADC, at a time when the party is facing legal battles as well as internal disputes. Do you believe that your presence on the ADC is building a viable platform, or are you joining a coalition that's already under terrible strain?
Charles, I must be frank with you. I am one of the initiators of this coalition, or perhaps the leading, initiator of the coalition, because I remember when the PDP lost the last election, I addressed the party. I said, I don't see a future for PDP unless there is a coalition, or a broad-based coalition or alliance. And the PDP leadership disagreed with me at that point in time.
What made you say that?
I said it because I studied, the political history of Nigeria, and I saw how alliances worked in the First Republic, in the Second Republic. I mean, so it is not difficult for one to, to predict or to explain.
It's a broad thing. I'm
Yes,
talking about specifically.
yes.
What is it? What did you see in the PDP that there was a warning sign?
Yeah,
for you?
because there was a decline
Right.
in the popularity of PDP and the states they were winning. So there was a decline. There was no way, they could have won on their own without, a coalition.
Was there the nettlesome factor of Nyesom Wike there?
Well, I mean, in fact, more or less, it was like a kind of gang up.
Gang up against you?
Possibly,
Against the party?
Possibly against the party or based on their individual ambitions.
Right. Now, you're in the ADC coalition, as we said. I mean, is the coalition driven by a shared vision? And I'm coming off the back of what you just said about what happened in the PDP, and you've been in several political parties, including the APC. So you've got a very good sense of how parties come together and what makes them fall apart.
Yeah.
Is this coalition of the ADC driven by a shared vision or simply a shared determination to remove Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Let me say both, because Bola has been a very bad president, to be honest with you.
How so?
I mean, because I didn't expect that from him, in the way he governs the country, whether economically or otherwise. It's a disappointment.
Right. Well, the ADC is about vision, which you suggest that it is. Can you clearly state what unites you beyond opposing the incumbent?
Well, a number of things unite us. For instance, the issue of deepening our democratic institutions and the issue of separation of powers under the Constitution. We feel very, very concerned about that. We have seen how virtually, a presidency has almost done the various institutions that are supposed to be checks and balances, under one roof, which is quite dangerous.
Right. Okay, you've run for president now, as we said, multiple times. Some have called you a perennial contender. I'm sure you've heard that yourself a number of times. And you are aiming to run again in 2027. What, if anything, makes this attempt different from the others?
Different in what way, Charles?
Well, that's why I'm asking you that question. What makes it different from the other times that you've run?
What makes it different from the other times is that you have a more broader coalition now. You have elements from APC, from PDP, from NMPP, from Labour. That makes it a much broader, coalition than what even happened in the past before. Yeah.
But for you personally?
For me personally, I see a lot of future because within the broad coalition, you see people of my generation, you see people below my own generation, and down the line. So you can see clear, succession, pattern. Imagine. Yes.
Wasn't that the same thing that happened in what was the APC coalition?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I didn't see it in the APC coalition. I left the APC quite early. Once I realized that they are going the wrong way, I left.
Some would say once you realize that your political ambition wouldn't be achieved.
No, not about that. It wasn't about the personal ambition at all. No, absolutely not.
So what was it about?
Quite a number of things. I mean, of course, you are dragging me to, start going into the administration of late President Buhari, and I wouldn't want to do that because he's late.
Right. Okay, understood. Let's return to the ADC, which is the matter of the moment. If a consensus candidate emerges within the ADC coalition, would you step aside in the interest of unity?
No, it's not the issue of stepping aside, but would I support?
Right.
I think what would I say in the coalition is that we will, the first option will be to work out a consensus. If that doesn't, of course, emerge, then we go for direct president. I mean, I will support anybody who emerges.
Right. So either a consensus candidate, and that's the first option?
Yes. That's the first option as far as the party is concerned. We will aim at consensus. If we don't get it, then we go for elections.
Right. That sounds like something that will be terribly disputatious.
I don't expect we will get to that level because we are dealing with really mature politicians and experienced politicians as well.
But you're also dealing with people with huge political ambitions.
Well, that's a different thing altogether. But we have all agreed that this is the way to save democracy in this country.
You now, of course, share that political space with figures like Peter Obi, Obi, Kwankwaso, Rotimi Amaechi, Nasir El-Rufai, Aminu Tambuwal, and a host of others. I mean, some would say that this is not a partnership, this is a rivalry waiting to happen. Because if you ask many Nigerians, their concern is that this might collapse under the weight of competing ambitions.
No. Charles, clearly you can see that there is a generational progression there. So, I mean, if people of my generation don't get it, the people who may get it next may be the next generation. I mean, clearly you can see a generational structure there, and it's deliberate.
Right. If it comes down to one ticket, which ultimately it'll come down to, will you step aside for somebody
There
like...
is no question of stepping aside.
What I'm asking, I want to ask you a direct question now. If it comes down to that single ticket, will you step aside for Peter Obi, for example, if he's more popular? Yes or no?
I will step aside for any winner.
Right.
Yeah.
Including Peter Obi.
Of course, if he is a contender, why not?
I mean, he was your vice presidential running mate. Would that make it a bit more difficult for you to accept him coming?
What is difficult there is
Well, I don't know.
mean,
That's why I'm
politics
asking
is either you go through democracy or you go through consensus. So
Right.
what is there if he emerges through consensus or he emerges through electoral process?
Right. Let me turn to something else, because if you were to get the ticket, you will run up against an incumbent with what some say is a formidable political machine. What is your concrete strategy to defeat President Tinubu, not just politically, but structurally?
But why would I sit down and then start discussing about my political strategy at this forum?
That's a strategy that you're going to have to
For
employ.
for all what I know is that a coalition candidate facing Bola Tinubu is dead on arrival.
Right, but those are just, I mean, it's almost like a slogan, isn't it?
No, it's not a slogan, but it's a fact. I mean, look at the leadership of the coalition. If each and every one of them will bring their zone, to electoral victory, where will Bola stand?
Right. Well, let me put it another way, since you don't want to share your strategy for unseating him. What is the one thing President Tinubu is doing today that you would immediately reverse if you became president?
Everything is wrong with President Tinubu.
So you'd basically sweep everything aside?
Everything is wrong with President Tinubu. I mean, honestly, perhaps in my life, this is the worst administration I've seen in this country.
Again, as I said, that's just a broad term.
Yeah. I feel terribly disappointed. I feel terribly disappointed.
Are there any specific things that you're disappointed with?
Well, I mean, you can say, okay, maybe we belong to the same age group. Perhaps the only experience he didn't have was he didn't have the federal experience like I had before him. But I thought he would do better than he is doing at the moment, economically. Otherwise, I feel disappointed.
Do you think a significant number of Nigerians still question your credibility? And what have you done to change that perception?
Well, my corruption perception only arose through allegations which were not proved.
Well, your former principal was one of the people who
But he had every opportunity.
led the charge.
Yeah, he had every opportunity. He set up a panel under the former Attorney General, Ojo. Nuri Badu was a member. El Rufai was a member. And they came to my office. They said, we have, the instructions of Mr. President to probe you. I said, but do you know I have a constitutional immunity? They said, yes. I said, okay, I have decided to waive the immunity. Probe me. And they probed me. What did they find? Nothing. Nothing.
So why does that perception persist? And why do you think
it's a political issue?
Your principal took it upon himself
it's a political issue.
Publicize it?
It's a political issue. Simple. I'm saying this for the first time in the public. And the president set up a panel to investigate his own vice president who has immunity.
Right. But where does all your money come from? I mean, you're said to be a very wealthy man.
Before I went into politics, I was already in business. I was in oil and gas logistics. I was in agriculture. I was in a number of, economic sectors of the country before I became. I virtually set up PDP. I virtually funded it. Why was I not being accused of corruption at that time?
Right. What's your final message to the Nigerian people?
My final message to the Nigerian people is they should vote out APC if they want their future.
And if they don't?
It's going to be a disaster.
So let me break this down simply what you just heard. Atiku said he will retire Tinubu. He talked about APC using INEC and the judiciary to destroy opposition. In fact, he talked about ADC and the coalition they are building. But on the Peter Obi question, his response was careful, measured, and if you listen closely, he did not give a straight answer. The fact that he danced around it suggests that ego and ambition are still very much part of his conversation. And here's the honest truth, the opposition lost 2023 because they could not agree on one candidate. Tinubu walked through the middle while Atiku Obi and Kwankwaso split the vote. So, if 2027 looks everything like 2023, Tinubu does not need to rig anything. The opposition will just add him the victory themselves. And just like what Charles said, is this going to be his final race? So that's the update. So I'm asking you again, which combination defeats Tinubu in 2027? Atiku and Obi, Obi and Kwankwaso, or Amaechi and Atiku? And do you think Atiku should step down for Peter Obi or not? Drop your honest take in the comments, because this is the conversation Nigeria needs to have right now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more updates, and share this video. Let's keep everyone informed. I'll see you in my next video.